So welcome everyone. Thank you all for joining us for this What is Coaching and Mentoring demonstration and question and answer. So tonight we're going to talk about coaching and mentoring, what they each are, the similarities and differences, and how they're used as tools to help people move forward on their journeys to achieve success. So let me start by sharing a chart that I put in the article that was posted to the Coaching and Mentoring Slack channel, so you can find it there. So, interesting. Here we can see this is a table that was that Stephen provided that is based on research back in 2013, it looks like. This gives you an idea of the different approaches, the type of relationship, the different agenda, focus, timeline, ownership, and skills across coaching, counseling, mentoring, and consulting. So while this gives you a pretty good idea, basically coaching is a confidential professional relationship that is there to assist a client to bridge that gap between where they are now and where they want to get to. So coaches help their clients to learn, to develop, and to progress by unlocking their potential and helping them to find new perspectives. Mentoring is a learning and development relationship between a mentor, who is someone with relevant experience and knowledge, and a mentee, someone who wants to learn from that experience and from that knowledge base. The relationship focuses on growing those complex skills such as communication and leadership. Now, currently, especially during the pandemic, the lines may be blurred a bit between coaching and mentoring. Coaches may be asking permission to give advice or share their own experience more often. And mentors may have to look at immediate challenges as well as that future development. So I think, let me stop sharing this. I think this can be better explained by seeing this in action. So we're going to have two different conversations demonstrated to us, one a coaching and one mentoring. And Louise and David are going to be the mentors side of things, and Jeff and Stephen are going to be the coach side of things. And I want to thank them all for their participation. This is, usually a very private kind of session, and so they have generously offered to bring their honesty and their openness and their vulnerability to us all here. So at this point, I'm going to ask everyone, with the exception of Jeff and Stephen, to turn off your cameras so that we can pretend to create this illusion of privacy for them. Now, each demonstration will include a bit from that very first session where the coach or the mentor introduces the type of relationship and sets the expectations, just so you can get a feel of how the contracting and confidentiality get communicated to the coachee or the mentee. Then in each of these, the situation and the question remain the same. The situation is, I'm a business owner or work in a business, we're at a standstill, and I need to get through the next 6 months. What now? So Stephen and Jeff have had a handful of coaching sessions already, some before the pandemic, now some during. And I'm going to turn it over to you two now. So let me stop my video and you may go.
Excellent, Jeff. Great to see you again. How are you keeping?
Great to see you too, Stephen. It's been a while. Doing pretty well. I think some of the stuff that we talked about last time, was really useful to me, I think, in just kind of really thinking about that type of legacy that I wanted to leave in this business that you've been kind of working with me on. But yeah, over the past few months, I've I don't know, I kind of feel in some ways like the business is actually kind of going okay, but in some ways I feel like I'm personally stuck. Like I'm just not really sure like what I want to do next, you know?
And I suppose before we kick into it in detail, just to re-emphasize and reinforce what we talked about before, this is a
Yeah.
confidential discussion, doesn't go any further, and I operate within the Global Code of Ethics, which all the coaching associations have signed up to. So again, this is a space for you, about you, and driving you and your ideas forward. So talk to me a bit more about that. What do you mean by stuck?
You know, I guess that maybe to put it really simply, that feeling that when you get up on Monday, like I don't really want to go in and have to deal with what awaits me. You know, like it's been a great journey in this company. Like I've learned lots of stuff. We've done some amazing things. But I don't know, I kind of feel like maybe I'm not spending my time where I maybe want to or should. I just feel like, you know, what I've been doing in terms of like managing this, you know, this part of the business is just maybe not enough for me anymore.
Great. I'm mindful that we only have about 10, 15 minutes here.
Yeah.
What would you like to get out of this short session?
Well, you know, I mean, I think I was thinking about this coming into our discussion, and I think the thing that really sticks out to me is I feel, you know, I feel like I'm spending 80% of my time doing the stuff that I don't want to do, and like 20% of it doing the stuff that I really enjoy. And I think what I really enjoy is the work that I've been able to do with you know, developing people inside the business and helping them grow and take on bigger kind of challenges. I mean, it feels a little silly to actually be saying this, but in some ways I envision myself doing a little bit of what you're doing, you know, like helping people find that next thing for them. But I guess I'm not really sure like where to begin even exploring this.
Okay, and a couple of interesting words in there. I just want to pick up on if it's okay with you.
Mm-hmm.
You're not really sure how to explore it. How does that show up?
You know, I mean, I think it feels like fear kind of inside. It feels, you know, you feel, or I feel trapped in some ways, like I'm doing the wrong thing, but to do what feels right, just, you know, I'm not really sure, like, how do I replace, you know, what's been a steady, you know, good paying job with something that seems very unpredictable. And maybe, you know, maybe I don't have the skills I need to actually do that kind of work yet. So yeah, I guess it feels like something I want to do, but I just don't know like what it really takes in some ways, if you know what I mean.
And just again, go back to language, because it's a key part, and it's a way of actually identifying a lot of what we think. You use words like fear and trapped, and then you follow that quickly with you don't know what you want to do, as if it's all or nothing. So do you see those decisions are all or nothing decisions?
Well, it's interesting you say that. I mean, I probably have been thinking of it that way. Like, you know, in some ways that's everything that's, you know, it's kind of told to us from a young age. It's like, work hard, figure out how to do something, get really good at it, and then spend your whole life doing it. And I sort of feel like I'm going against conventional wisdom or, you know, societal norms. I'm not really sure how to even have the conversation with like my business partners about the fact that maybe I might step away from what we're doing. Yeah. I think the thing that's scary is probably the financial aspect of it, to be honest.
Okay. And what is it about the financial side that's scary?
Well, you know, there's a lot that one commits to in their life, you know, buying a house, taking holidays, having a particular type of lifestyle. And it feels like, can I still have that without having this job that's just like boring me to death, you know, on some days. On the good days, on the good days, it's boring me to death. On the bad days, it's like, you know, what the hell am I doing here?
Okay, and it's interesting because as we're going through this discussion, we started talking about wanting to get more involved in developing people and helping them grow.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing for yourself in that area?
Well, I mean, you know, obviously, like working with you over the past several months has been something I think that's like helped me, you know, approach some of the challenges and maybe like lack of belief in myself about ways that I could handle certain things, or that I could try a different approach and a different result. I don't know, maybe in some ways it's a little bit more of the same. I'm sure if I start to really think about all those little bits that amount to, you know, what our life is, like some of them really aren't needed, you know. Some of them are things that I'm sure if my wife and I looked at it, we could probably make some simplifications to our lives. There are definitely things that we do that, like, if I'm honest, man, it's probably just money we spend to make ourselves feel better about a job that I'm not enjoying going to, you know. So there's probably just some stuff we could just cut out that maybe takes some of the fear down a notch or two. I don't know.
And one thing I want to think about, when you were starting off your business first, were those fears present?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's always that, you know, there's that fear of failing. But you know, I mean, as we've talked about before, I think some of those things that haven't gone so well, you find something that you can learn out of it that, you know, helps you maybe get better in some way. So
if you think back on what you've managed to achieve, how you've managed to achieve it, even though you've gone through fear in the past, and that fear is similar to what you're going through now, what can you learn from that, thinking about what you want to go forward with?
yeah, well, you know, I mean, we had a lot of people that thought that the you know, the business that we built over the last like 10 or 12 years was never really going to work, and that's obviously, yeah, we proved some people wrong, and I think we proved ourselves that, you know, like we had it in us, that we could deal with some rough challenges. You know, I mean, we started a lot of this near the financial crisis last time. That was a hard thing to get through. So I mean, and you know, things are going okay now with COVID. Like, I guess there's probably proving a bit more adaptable and resilient, I guess, maybe than I give myself credit for. You know, I'm always kind of striving for that element of perfection, where sometimes that's just not necessary. I think that's maybe been one thing that the last several years have proven out. And it's probably a bit of the mindset maybe I need to approach this with as well.
What steps do you think we can take in the next week to kind of bolster that and give you that extra bit of a pep, to bit of a belief in what you have done, and give you a bit of look at what you may want to do going forward with that same mindset?
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, just thinking about what we've talked about in our short call today, like obviously, I think one of these things is I got to take care of some of the potential issues at home, and maybe sit down with the wife, have a chat about the finances, look at some of the things that we're doing, and maybe make some decisions about some stuff that we just don't need to do, that you know, can take a little bit of the financial pressure off.
And can I just catch you there, and just to point something out, just to be aware of it, because we can use habits an awful lot and allow our language to work without thinking about it. And a couple of things you mentioned there, you maybe do this, maybe do this, maybe do this. So let's be a bit more definite. What are you going to do?
Yeah, you're always good at putting me on the spot with these things about on a level of 10, how 1 to 10, how committed are you? Look, this one's pretty easy. I think, you know, the wife and I have a good relationship around these kind of things. So like, this is a 9 or a 10. This is easy to do. Like, it's not hard to sit down and talk about this. So let me look at my schedule. Yeah, we can just talk about this over this weekend.
Do you want to put a day on it?
Yeah, let's do it Saturday. I'll talk to her Saturday morning. We always like to have a big chat over a coffee as we go into the weekend. I think one of the other things that, talking about this made me realize is like that feeling that maybe I don't have the training or whatnot, the background in this, the structure maybe to help me with this. Maybe one of my mates mentioned a couple of different programs that do like coaching certifications and stuff. Maybe I'll take a look. I'll take a look at those on Sunday as well. I got a bit of time after we got some errands to do in the morning, so I'll spend a couple hours and look at that and maybe get a sense of like what one of these courses would actually take, just in terms of like time commitment and money. Like I would imagine it's not too much. Hopefully it's something I can fit into the nights, and maybe it's something I could kind of do in tandem. But first step, yeah, just figure out what it costs, maybe it looks like. I think that'd give me a bit more confidence going forward.
You know me, accountability is my big one. How are you going to hold yourself accountable to doing these things on Saturday and Sunday?
Yeah. Well, you know me, I live by my diary. So let me put them in the Google Calendar right now. And actually, the stuff that you did with me before was really helpful. So if it's cool with you, maybe what I'll do is after I've finished these up, I might just share some notes that I've taken, just so that you can see as well that I kind of got this done. So the next time we talk, I know you're gonna ask me about it. So
yeah, look, that's the reason why we have these conversations, and even
absolutely,
it's for you. It's to allow you, but I'm there to help you to do it, to empower
yeah.
you to do it. And again, like everything we do, if we've somebody watching us, we get it done. A lot of things like that as well.
Yeah, definitely. Those calls we've had where I haven't done my homework and have not been fun ones. Yeah, man, really great to talk to you again. Thanks again for maybe helping me just find a couple easy steps forward that I can take to just start thinking about this in a different way.
We covered what you need to cover on that one.
Well, knowing that we only got about 10 minutes, there's probably not a whole lot more we can jump into today. But I'd love to maybe next time. I think it'd be nice to talk a little bit more about just about maybe some other ways which I could start experimenting with what this is going to be like. Like maybe there's even some things that I can do around the office where I can, like, a little bit more intentionally kind of practice and play this role that I'm, if I'm going to do this for a living, like that's a good safe way to do it too.
Great, walk the walk.
Yeah.
Jeff, it's been a pleasure. I'd like to go back over and just to review. You at the moment straight away your body language has picked up. You look an awful lot better than when we kicked off the call. You weren't feeling the love.
Yeah.
And you wanted to kind of consider ways of getting more involved and kind of working with people, helping them about the goals. Had a bit of a chat about where you are, and also just reflected on what you've actually achieved, what you've managed to do, building what you've done, which is fantastic, even with the fear of making change and stuff like that. So gone through that. There's a couple of topics that you're taking into the weekend. So you're going to have a conversation with the wife on Saturday. Get the possible coaching courses or certification courses on Sunday. You'll keep me abreast of that, and we'll catch up on the next call.
Sounds great. By the way, if you've got any other places you think maybe I should look for courses or something, feel free to shoot me a couple links.
There's a couple that I know of, and I'll send you on some details after that.
Good stuff. Thanks a million. Great to see you again, Stephen.
It's been a pleasure. Talk to you soon.
All right. See ya. And see
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, Stephen.
Thanks, guys.
So I see my Saturday is busy, so that'll be fun. Okay, so let's see.
Jeff,
Yes.
Jeff, you missed a glorious opportunity there to say just how unreasonable your wife is, and she'd never understand any of these challenges that you're going through. And you just missed
more
it.
counseling.
It's a point.
Yeah, there was a lesson I learned a long time ago. Know your audience. So.
Thank you, Stephen and Jeff. Appreciate that. So let's see a mentoring session. So Louise O'Connor will mentor David, and you two can turn your cameras on, and everyone else, if we can turn our cameras off. And if you want to put it in speaker view, it might be a better experience for everyone as well. So I will turn it over to Louise and to David.
Okay.
David, how are you today?
I'm pretty good, Louise. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Just a little bit of background. So we only have about 15 minutes on our call today, but this is session 3 out of 4. It started off at looking at customer engagement and management and driving customers. And then obviously we met back in April, and business had changed. The world had changed more or less. So I know you had to let go of a couple of people. And
Yeah. I mean, we started in January looking at how we could grow the business, and then suddenly the world stopped, and in April we had to pivot.
I think nearly every business in the world had to.
Yeah.
But also, I think we discussed a couple of different parts on how to move your business potentially from your offline one-to-one training, how you could build out different teams, do it through digital channels. We looked at kind of Zoom, breakout rooms, Miro, Slack, and just different channels that we could use.
Yep.
How did you get on with doing that? How's it going?
Yeah, we're getting there. I mean, I think, we have worked in a certain way for over 10 years, delivering sort of workshops and training in person on sales and customer account management and things like that. And that sort of business is very important face to face, and building the rapport and being able to showcase things like empathy in sales and customer management. So for me personally, and for the business, it has taken some time to settle down and get used to that new way of interacting digitally rather than in person. So I'd be lying if I didn't say it was a challenge, but we're getting into a rhythm on it now.
Sorry, I was on mute there. And how are you feeling? Have you done some trials on the different technologies and different testing? So it's always good to test with other people or friends or family and see how to use the digital tools beforehand.
We have, and some of that is customer driven in terms of what technology they're comfortable with, but we do, and again, maybe it's because of a little bit of nervousness getting used to this new medium. We always make sure that we've got a backup plan. So we're happy to use Zoom, happy to use Teams, and as you say, we always make sure that we've got a backup plan in place.
Good. And tell me this: you had teams working for you which were displaced, and now you're using a pool of contractors?
Yeah, so I suppose when we reduced our headcount out of necessity in April, I suppose that faced with two challenges really. I mean, it was very much a fixed cost base that we had, and as a group of people, they were very much used to delivering training in person. So I suppose one of the things we agreed the last time was that we need to sort of address both those issues. So what I did was I found a group of sort of contractors that I can use as needed, and who were very used to giving training online. So it sort of had the double benefit for now of matching the cost with the revenue, but also matching the skill sets needed. Now, I do hope in time, in the coming months, that I can come back to some of the people that I was using sort of more long term, and hopefully we will get back into using face-to-face training. I suppose one issue for me is I can't get as involved in the service delivery as I used to be able to when I had my own team of employees and it was face-to-face. So I have a concern that are they delivering a consistent service that matches in with our brand? And that's been something that is sort of playing on my mind a little bit.
So have you actually trained the consultants yourself?
Yeah, we had recorded a number of the sessions over the last couple of years that we gave face to face, and we used to use those for training purposes. So it was an easy enough step to take to be able to, I suppose, show them those training sessions to give a sense for the style of delivery that we were used to using, and also I suppose some of the materials. So I think that coupled with their own online delivery expertise sort of made it relatively easy for them to get up to speed.
Okay, and have you kind of ingrained your own values and the presentation kind of piece on what are the core things to ask within those sessions?
Yeah, I would try to. I think it's something that it'll take some time for that really to bed in. I mean, there are a couple of the online training people that have worked in sort of health and safety and like that before, and that wouldn't be as big on the need for sort of customer empathy that my stuff in terms of sales and customer management needs. So that took a little bit of tweaking. That'll take some time for them to get up to speed with that particular aspect. We were all about face-to-face and relationships and touch and feel, really, in terms of the delivery of the service and the key sort of value elements of it. So a little bit of that is going to take some time to get up to speed, definitely.
So I think also if you have that relationship already, it could be something where you send out a survey, either SurveyMonkey, or you touch base with the person, the lead on the team, in-house, just to say, how's your experience? Is there anything we could have improved? What were the certain elements of feedback? Just to understand how they're feeling at the moment, because you value your own values and your customer experience and what you're giving to clients. So it's just really important to get that feedback. And because we can't meet in person, even arranging a quick coffee call or a follow-up call, or if they don't have time to have a call, just to send out a form with specific questions and feedback, it could be a good idea.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea to start that. I think just to start capturing that's the sort of feedback that I would have got in person. So I think it's probably a good idea to start that. It'll help sort of develop those customer relationships a bit more. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I think apart from the training, you have now moved from offline to online. You are now delivering these incredible courses. You've done exceptional work to date. How are you actually getting new customers?
Yeah, that's been a challenge, absolutely, this is without a doubt. And I look at how we used to engage with our targets, and they'd typically be HR managers or sales managers, and often it'd be through doorstepping them and meeting them at conferences and events, and we'd have a stand there, and we'd have some of our trainers with us who could talk to them about what they used to do. And the second stage will be to maybe meet those targets at their offices and learn a bit more about their businesses and what we can do for them. And I'd even go as far sometimes to invite one of them to witness a group session that one of my team might be giving. So as you can see, all of our dimensions of business development were in person. They were physical interactions with people, either at events, at their offices, or at work that we were doing. So that stopped. That can't happen anymore. So I think my business development into online business development as well.
So there's a couple of different things that I think of. The first one is customers are people. So everything that you're doing and in the way that you're engaging them online is how they probably are too. You have to look at the customer experience. Who are your target market? Who are the key people that you used to meet at meetings? Who are the different people that you would speak to that would be engaged, that would understand the value that you would bring in coaching to their teams? If you understand who they are, and I would create a couple of different lists. So the first one, I would suggest creating a list of your existing and past clients. Look at who they were, touch base with them, say hi, ask how they're doing in general and how work is going. Also just say, listen, I've actually pivoted the coaching from offline to online. It's a way of engaging directly with people that you had before. So you had a pipeline of up to 12 months. Just because it stopped for a while doesn't mean that their teams don't need it. In fact, I'd actually say they need it more now than they ever did before. And you can position it in terms of, say, training coming out of this, or like restructuring training or restructuring sales. How do you actually sell? The messaging in this environment has changed so much. You have to have so much empathy for people, understand that it's not a hard sell. So the communication. So if you can get that message across to them, that's the first way that you will start engaging with them through digital channels. But you have to look at the entire user journey. Have you looked at that at all?
Not in huge detail, I'd have to be honest. I mean, I just to go back to what you just said, I think that's really a really interesting observation, because it's relevant for both how I sell and how I coach, our customers to sell. So I think that there's an interesting symmetry there that you've picked up on, that maybe I need to start reflecting in terms of my business development activities right now. So maybe me not doing the hard sell is probably the right thing to do right now. Haven't really got into the customer experience in a huge degree, other than maybe just what I'd say is the delivery of the training, the primary engagement, as opposed to the before or maybe after. So that's probably something that we probably need to look at in a bit more detail.
So I think if you just look at the emotional aspect. I think a lot of people, when they go into companies, they kind of leave their customer hat at the door and they put on their work hat, and then they go about business and they're hitting KPIs and they have to get, and that, in a sense, if you did that in your own business, you're going and going, right, how do I reach customers? But if you take off that hat, as in you need to drive leads, and just think of customers. If you were in a company and you needed training, who would you go to? How would you find it? How would you find that person? How would you even know sometimes that you need something when you don't know it's there, or who the person to go to or anything else? So there's different ways. There, in one essence where you were talking about delivering training and letting them join some group sessions, you could actually record some of the sessions yourself and have them online training and show them different ways and different even role plays that you were doing with some of the clients that you've got, or do it within, I mean, you can use friends and family, or you can use different people within kind of the recording sessions and following the structure. You could also give those to the new consultants and use those as tools for them to say, oh, I understand what you did there, or actually I wouldn't have done that. It was really good to watch you. So creating online training where people can tap in whenever they want, kind of offline, online, it doesn't have to be live. You'll actually be helping your own consultants to be learning how you do it, but also customers and potential customers to see, okay, that sounds really good. I'd like some of that, please.
That's interesting because, you know, we had a couple of occasions where, you know, we might have, say, training across different time zones with different groups, and one of the challenges always is to try and make it that consistent. So I think certainly, you know, maybe looking at recording some training and playing it back might actually, in terms of delivery, might actually work quite well as well. So that's certainly something we could look at in terms of incorporating that into the offering. Yeah, that's something I'll definitely take on board.
Okay, now I'm going to challenge you. Now you need to get to them. You have this wonderful model. You're out there. What's your social media presence like?
Oh, I can't say, to be honest, that we've ever really engaged in social media. It, as I said earlier, was all very much face to face, very much being seen at conferences and events. We have a website, absolutely, but we don't post. You know, we don't post frequently on any of the social media channels. It's, you know, and I know it's something that we're clearly going to have to get into quickly, but it's not something that, to be honest, has ever formed part of our marketing efforts.
Okay, well, content is key. And I know that's been talked about for years, but the content that you want, you need to be able to represent yourself on all social media channels, in every blog post you do, in every video you do, with the same brand, values, tone of voice that you believe yourself and what you stand for. So in this essence, you have to stand out as being, who are you? What do you offer? And now it's online, and you need to let people know that it's now online. So that messaging is going to change, but also just the strength of, why are you different? Why is this exciting? What is this, the USP that you saw with your customer? Why did they come back to you? Why did they rebook? How did they find you? So it's answering those questions and then engaging, going, okay, so the message is, this is what we do. This is why we're different. And having that consistent across your LinkedIn profiles, your Twitter. Now you're B2B, so it's all LinkedIn and Twitter. Facebook, Instagram, I would leave all of them. They're much more a B2C audience. So with B2B, look at, this is the tone. This is the messaging I want to send, and have that across all of them, so that anywhere they go or any interaction is the same message across your brand. And that's what you're building. Then you have to go and do all the fun stuff. So within social media, you've got Twitter updates. I would be posting at least twice a day on LinkedIn and Twitter. I do about 4 times myself in my own business and a couple of other businesses on the side. You need to understand who your audiences are, who the people are. And I'm sure you're taking lots and lots of notes here, David. I'm going to be throwing lots at you. But if you understand who they are and you understand what their interest is in. So if I look at some of the people I want to speak to, and everything I do within my company is where it's separated between retail, services, sales, healthcare. When I know the influencers or the people that I want to talk to are interested in that topic, they're the topics that I would tag them in. And I would only focus on giving something relevant information. Now, you probably don't have time to be writing blog posts on every single topic or every single angle. What it is that there's a lot of content already out there. So I use things like Forbes or Harvard Business Review, really trustworthy sites that give inside information. Use the different hashtags relevant. So I'll tag people to do with healthcare, or to do with life sciences or education. anything that relates to my business, that I'm giving information to somebody else in a way that they're going to go, oh, that's really interesting, I missed that. So you're giving them information that they care about in a timely way and an empathetic way. And the main thing is empathy at the moment. You know what people's circumstances are. So I wouldn't start tagging left, right, and center unless there's a particular reason that you want to engage with that person. And I know for myself, that's how you build relationships. I've had 15 Zoom calls with people that I've never met before in my life, who I've been tagging and using in the last 9 to 12 months within my business. And that has ranged from the US through to the UK, through to Germany, and one in Australia. Just building this brand because we put out information that is relevant to people, that is helpful. And that's in essence building our own brand. So there's a part of that. The other piece to help you with content is you could set up Google Alerts. If you set up a Google Alert to your email every single day, you'll get a summary of everything discussing the topic. So put in the keyword to do with sales, to do with retail, to do with coaching, to do with learning, all the keywords around what you're offering, so that you can give it in a different way. And then you can literally just post and tag on LinkedIn, Twitter, copy it. I save a ton of drafts in my Twitter account so that they're always ready to go. I don't have to do it every 5 minutes. I'll spend maybe 4 or 5 hours. I know that sounds a lot. I'm a little bit crazy. But you do 4 or 5 hours of solid work, save them as drafts, and all you have to do is copy and paste, press send on your Twitter, copy it over to your LinkedIn, post it on LinkedIn, and tag the relevant people in there, which means that you've got this balance of Twitter and LinkedIn going with different people and different audiences, because every channel, people use channels in different ways. If Twitter and LinkedIn, Twitter wasn't a big thing for you, I know that you are on LinkedIn. So you've got an audience there already.
Yeah, and there is a lot of, I mean, I suppose there's a lot of relevant information that is being shared that I think part of the challenge for me is, you know, you're not communicating for the sake of communicating, you're making it relevant and you're making it frequent enough that it's engaging without being too frequent that it's irritating people, and it's just keeping, I suppose, in their minds. If we could at a minimum do that amount, I think that would be certainly a good start, particularly in the way you described it, to make it consistent across different channels.
I think for yourself, if I was tagging you in something relating to business, relating to sales, would you not be interested in that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. If it was relevant, and particularly if it was topical as well as relevant, I think it would be, you know, particularly helpful right now.
So I personally love when people tag me on something that I haven't seen. I don't have to go searching for more information. I get sent it to me, tagged and go, oh, that's brilliant. The next stage is that you then have to be able to seem to have an opinion. You're a thought leader on sales coaching, on teaching teams, of understanding that engagement piece. So I wouldn't go in and say, great article, thanks. I say, interesting angle, didn't think of that. Actually, I find that this piece would be a lot better. And you use your expertise and pieces, because the more that you're engaging in insightful thought leader type comments, you're actually helping people see, oh, who's this guy? Where does he come from? Actually, that sounds really good. Let's see what company he's with. Oh, he has his own training company. Actually, let's get him in. That is a form of lead generation in itself. And there is a balance. I mean, I can do a lot of brand building, but you do need to drive leads. And that's where I build the second list. So you have the first one of past customers, touch base, see how they're doing. Do they need help in the now changing world? But then a second list of all the people who were booked, but were put on hold. Let's see if we can get them engaging now that you're online. And the third one is, who's that target sweet market that has worked in the past that you haven't engaged with before? Who are they, and how could you start engaging with them? Who, even if you listed 20 people across 20 different companies or even 2 different companies, sometimes the associated piece is good. If you get 2 people from one company, maybe different departments, you can get a conversation with them going, have you seen this guy who just tagged you and tagged me? That's a really, really interesting piece. You get them talking about your brand, about you, and next thing you're across the division, it goes to HR and they're like, yes, we'd like you to come in, please. So
it is interesting, because while I bemoan the fact that our delivery used to be in person, obviously for the customers, their service, receiving the services in person, so they've now got to adapt as well. So obviously you'd imagine that there's an alignment there in terms of what we want to do and what they need.
And the other one is, you need to raise your profile. There are a lot of virtual events. There are a lot of speaking events. If you're not comfortable with one of the ones, so I know somebody who does I think it's a 3-minute post, Mondays and Fridays. So Monday, motivation, Friday, feel good Friday type thing. And it's about a session to do with your coaching, about sales that's changed or something that you've read. It doesn't need to be long, but you're building that profile of a video of yourself showing the skills that you have, but giving informative information.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. That sounds like a great idea.
Well, I'm quite conscious that I've now spoken probably for about 15 minutes.
No, that's, well, I've picked up a lot from it though, which has been particularly helpful. So that's really useful.
Good. Is there anything else you wanted to cover?
I don't think so. I mean, I think maybe in the next session, as this market evolves, as the service delivery evolves, I think one of the things I'll need to look at will be, things like pricing, because it's a different model, it's a different cost base, it's a different engagement, and that's something that I'm going to have to think about. So I'll probably just do a little bit of thinking and just seeing how customers react over the next number of weeks, and maybe when we sit down the next time, we'll look at what are the options there, or what do I need to think of.
Yeah, the revenue model and business model can really, really change, especially when it's online. There's so much free content that doesn't mean that your training should be anyway devalued. So sometimes people run courses, I don't know how you priced it before, but if you're doing a whole day session, it could be one price. You could actually do it per head instead, which means you're giving your value time, and don't devalue yourself. That's the main thing. Because I find some people go, oh, I'm going online, I can't offer as much. You can. You've got 20.
That is something we wondered, if is it the same value, sense of value for the customer?
But when the customer is paying for something, they're not paying for you being in a room. They're paying for your 20 plus years experience and knowledge that they don't have, and how you help their teams to achieve that. So if one person was paying 2K, that's 10 people who paid 2K, because it's the knowledge that you're imparting to them. So whatever you do, don't devalue that.
Okay, excellent. Well, that's fantastic. Thank you, Louise. That's been really helpful.
You're welcome. I think I've thrown a lot at you, so you'll be busy until the next session.
Yeah, very good. And
thanks, David.
Thanks, Louise.
Thank you both. That was great. I think I learned a ton. So thank you. So everyone, you can turn your cameras back on. You can put it in gallery view if you want to see everyone. But
I feel like I could actually set up a training business after that, a real one. Yeah.
Maybe you should.
So, just imagine, like in real life, these are, between 60 minutes, 90 minutes, or even up to 2 hours. So all that ground that you can cover in that amount of time, it really does. Both of these tools, they help to illuminate the possibilities and to accelerate that forward motion to achieve success. So thank you to the 4 of you participants for being vulnerable and open and honest. I really appreciate it. And now we can open it up to questions.